Welcome to the Writer Reads Short Stories. Today's short story is In Service to the Pinnacle, Part 2, including swim into the corporation's nets, Lassiter added for her. Including that, Jamie admitted. And if there were no survivors to warn the others, no witnesses, so to speak, then I'd get away with it, again and again. Not such a low-level sigh then, are you? He challenged. Jamie remembered Lassiter's threat, pulled the knowledge from her mind. About as much as you, she said. They stared at each other for a long moment, Jamie half listening to what the reporter was saying about the convention and his guests. This is also the first time the creature known as the Pinnacle has left its world to attend the convention. Lassiter's sudden expletive made Jamie jump, and they both turned to stare at the screen. A pure white craft comprising sleek, sharp lines was gliding through the water toward the conference center. At first, she didn't see what had caused his reaction, and then she noted the distinctive mountain peak with its overarching part circle. That's going to make it difficult for me to keep it safe, she said. Weren't they told I was to travel with the principal? They were told you'd meet them there. Well, that's going to be a bit difficult, isn't it? Jamie bit out. I've only just learnt of the assignment. Or is this going to be another baby alligator scenario where I'm somehow to blame for not being prescient? You're sure? Damn it, I didn't see this coming. I take it the Odyssey contract is already in place? It's set to start at 13:45 on the 10th. The 10th on whose calendar? Jamie asked, and watched as Lassiter paled. Oh, stars and heavens above! He got no further than that before his mobile started to ring and both their pages activated. Jamie headed out into the hall to make her call back, leaving Lassiter alone in her flat. Yeah? Yes, I saw the news. No, because I have only just been given the assignment. Yes, I agree. I cannot save anyone's ass when said ass is in the next system. No, I'm not being facetious. Yeah? You beam me up and I'll be there, but I'll need. Light flared around her. Son of a, you should warn a girl. She shut her mobile down and glared at the assignments officer standing in the interview room. He didn't waste any time. Where's your gear? I've only just been told of the mission. I haven't even agreed to take it. Why not? Ask the boss, Jamie retorted, remembering all the times Lassiter had advised her to let him handle HQ. Lassiter arrived on cue, minus the cussing. He merely oriented himself on the assignments officer and raised an eyebrow. She hasn't agreed to go. She has history we weren't aware of. Can it jeopardize the mission? That depends if you consider the personal protection officer being a target a jeopardy. Not as big a problem as not having protection in place on the agreed on date. It's not yet the date intended. The client has a different opinion. The assignments officer reached down and picked up a duffel bag Jamie hadn't noticed sitting at his feet. Catch. She had just enough time to wrap her arms around the bag before she was bathed in light again. This time, when she reformatted, she hit the floor on her knees and threw up. 3 sets of boots waited patiently until she was done. 3 tall, green-skinned men in uniforms of crisp white cloth viewed her without a trace of emotion on their faces as she slowly stood up and slung the duffel over her shoulder. Odyssey? One ventured, and Jamie nodded. She swallowed, wishing she had a water flask or 10 minutes' privacy to wash her mouth out. Yes? She managed, her voice a croak. We break orbit as soon as you're seated. Seated? Jamie didn't need to ask the question. She was escorted quickly to a small antechamber with padded flight couches. For late arrivals, one of the men explained, taking her duffel and stowing it behind one of the locker doors while another indicated where she should sit. Jamie wanted to ask how close they were to breaking orbit, but she didn't have to. Her escort took the seats nearest them and strapped in. The officer attending her checked her webbing and followed suit. As he buckled down, Jamie felt a soft vibration run through the seat, and then the ship accelerated. She was wondering why she needed to strap in for a simple departure when the world around her shuddered and her stomach felt as though it had gone into freefall. Oh, crap. She'd been hoping to be in her cabin and sedated before the ship shifted into warp. Her day had just gotten unbearably long, and she hadn't had time to inspect the gear she'd been assigned. She tried accessing her Odyssey implant on the off chance they'd uploaded any data on the mission in between teleporting her in or shunting her out. No such luck. With a sigh, Jamie closed her eyes and tried to sleep. It was the only real answer to warp travel. In minutes, she was out to it, and she didn't wake again until one of the crew members touched her shoulder. "Where are we?" she asked. "3 days out." "Of Australia?" "Yes, ma'am." He waited for her next question and turned to retrieve her duffel when there wasn't any. "I'll show you to your cabin. Your employers have forwarded a secure message to your private terminal. They assured me you knew the protocols." "Do they differ on this ship?" "No, ma'am. The protocols have nothing to do with us. We use standard secure data procedures and leave the rest to our guests." "Thank you." And Jamie followed him to a small cabin several decks down from where she'd arrived. Within minutes of securing her cabin, she opened the data packet and went over the very few mission details she'd been provided. By the time she'd arrived at Australia to meet the delegates she was meant to be protecting, she felt no more prepared than when she'd left HQ, save for the fact that she had a new identity, a quick nanite cocktail to muddle her biometrics, contacts to disguise the color of her eyes, skin dye, and a different hair color. Fantastic, she thought, viewing the faint patina of scales that dusted her cheeks and throat. Now I look like I should be out partying with the fish. "I need to know what to protect you from," she reiterated once she'd arrived on Australia and secured a private moment in her principal's quarters. Her request was met by a sense of open curiosity. "Did your employer not explain the situation?" it asked. "They said you needed to be protected from water and would not share the nature of the threat or the reason there was a threat." "It is the same as the misunderstanding with the date. We were most anxious when you were not present when we arrived." Comprehension sounded in the voice, although Jamie could discern no obvious features on any of the rock facets opposite her. "I'm sorry to have caused you concern." The creature rocked with what Jamie understood was amusement. She might not be able to find a face, but she could still hear its emotions and something of its thoughts. "It is why we asked for you," the Pinnacle said. "You can hear the thoughts and send your own." "How did you know?" "We read your file." "But it's not in my file." "It is not in your Odyssey file, Jamie Clay. That's not your official name, we know, but then we did not read your official file." Jamie was out of her seat, weapons drawn and backing toward the door, but the rock person did not move, and its servants made no move toward her either. "Unlike those from whom we obtained the file, we mean you no harm, but we do need your help." That made her hesitate, one hand on the door. "I cannot protect you if you cannot give me more detail on the threat," she said. "Then it is a good thing we do not need you for that." Jamie felt along the door's edge until she had the control pad beneath her fingers, and then she waited, her fingertips hovering above it. "What do you need me for?" "The people you know as Purple Divers have not been invited to this conference. They asked us for help." "You don't strike me as brokers." It was out before Jamie could stifle it. Again she felt a wave of amusement from the creature. "That is a mistake many people make. Just because we are made of stone does not mean we are slow or raised under a rock. We obtained your records from Celicord without their knowledge and tweaked the biometrics they had on record." "You lie to Odyssey." "We were not entirely truthful with them, no." "They will put you in breach of contract." The level of smug Jamie was sensing went up several notches. "They can try." "What do you mean?"